Let's look quickly at the worksheet for assignment 11. This is a print reading exercise. So the first 4 questions use this drawing, this section drawing from our book, and you just have to kind of look around and see if you can find the answer. For example, it asks, what is the width of the footing? Well, footings are down at the bottom, so you're going to run your eyes over the bottom of the drawing and see if you can find a dimension, which you can, that gives the width of the footing. Then it asks, what about the anchor bolts? What size are they? Well, they're down here too, so here's a note that talks about anchor bolts. What are the exterior sills made of? Again, the sill is down here on the bottom. It's sitting on top of the stem wall. And here's a note about the sill. And in the previous PowerPoint and video, we looked at some notes and we saw one that said this DFPT. Do you remember what that was? PT, this must be pressure treated because it's sitting on concrete. And DF, what kind of wood is that? Douglas fir. So Douglas fir, pressure treated. Then, how high is the plate height? What is the dimension from the floor to the top of the plate? Well, there's only one of those dimensions, and there it is. Then we go on to the next set of questions, 5 through 10, and they use this drawing. So, again, we have to run our eyes over the drawing, and there are a lot of words here, so just take your time and slow down and try and sort through it. Question 5 asks, what grade is the framing lumber? So you look and you look and you look, and here's some framing, nothing about grade there, what the heck? And then you notice, oh, down at the bottom of the sheet, there's a note, a sort of global note about what grade all the framing lumber must be. What type of insulation in the wall? Well, there's a wall with insulation, and somewhere over here is a note that tells you what kind of insulation. What size is the fascia? Well, that's up at the end of the rafters somewhere, so you look around till you find the note. Ha! There are some words about fascia. What is the pitch of the roof? That's this symbol here, and we haven't talked about pitch yet. We'll talk about that next time when we look at roofs, but there's the pitch symbol. How wide is the overhang? Well, let's look for a dimension. Ha 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 ha, there it is. And what prevents birds from getting in through the rafters and nesting in the roof? Well, there's nothing on this section drawing that talks about birds, so we have to use some logic and look at, oh, must be this thing here. So there's some blocking in here, there's some screening, and so forth. That must be what's happening. Then in assignment 12, you're going to draw a foundation detail. And you are just going to copy this detail. Honestly, that's all you need to do. Just whatever they have here, make yours look like this as best you can. Some things you'll just have to make it up or use your judgment. For example, here's a very heavy line that represents the grade line. That's the top of the soil that's sloping away. They don't tell you what slope that is, so just use your judgment. Then this thing here, this goofy looking line, is supposed to represent some vapor barrier draped over the inside of the foundation and onto the ground. So just do the best you can to draw that thing. And then make these notes and leader lines and so forth. In the next video where we look at the CAD drawing, I'll say something about how to draw this batting line. I just want to say a word here about I guess you would call it an error or a problem that you occasionally run into. Sometimes when you draw your batting and it looks real good in model space and all your scales are right, then you go to paper space and it's all messed up. It's way too big, for example. I have not seen anyone explain why that happens. They just sort of do the virtual shoulder shrug and go, yeah, well, that happens. So if that ever happens to you, then just fix the LT scale in model space so that it looks right in paper space. That's about all you can do. And we'll go look at that in the next video looking at